Jimin Park stood in front of the big metal doors of the Galactic Security Force building. Her hands shook as she held her acceptance letter. At only 5'4" and 120 pounds, she looked nothing like the other officers who worked here. The aliens who passed by were twice her size, with tough skin, sharp claws, or extra limbs. Earth had only joined the Galactic Alliance 2 years ago. Humans were still new to space travel. Most alien species thought humans were too weak to be useful. Captain Dae-ho, a massive four-armed alien with black skin that looked like polished stone, stared down at her. All three of his eyes blinked slowly. "So you're the human they sent?" he asked. His voice was deep and rough. The Alliance must be desperate. The parts around his mouth clicked together, making a sound that was his kind's way of laughing. Jimin stood up straighter. "I graduated top of my class at Earth Defense Academy, sir." "Earth," Captain Dae-ho said with clear dislike, "barely using spaceships and already sending its babies into space. You know Nexus Station is next to the Crimson Sector, the most dangerous area in this part of space?" "I know, sir. That's why I asked to come here." The captain's middle eye narrowed. "Did you now? Well, Officer Park, you'll work with Han Sol. He's been here 3 years. Try not to get him killed with your enthusiasm." Han Sol was another human, tall and strong, with a face that always looked ready to smile. "Another Earth recruit? You must be either very smart or very crazy to ask for Nexus." "Maybe both," Jimin said with a small smile. "Well, stay close. The aliens who come through here aren't used to humans yet. Some think we're too soft to even leave our planet." Jimin soon found out Han Sol wasn't kidding. The station was full of aliens from all over the galaxy. Some were huge with thick armor. Others looked like jelly or crystal. All of them stared at her with looks that ranged from curious to openly hateful. Their first job came quickly: walk through the lower market areas where smugglers often sold illegal goods. As they walked, Jimin noticed 6 lizard-like aliens watching them from a dark corner. These were Draxians, space pirates known for being cruel and clever. "Don't look them in the eyes," Han Sol whispered. "Draxians take it as challenge accepted," growled the biggest Draxian, stepping into their path. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, with scales that changed colors like rainbow oil. He looked down at both humans. "What brings the Alliance's pets to our area?" "Just doing our job, Kraz," Han Sol said calmly. "No trouble needed today." The Draxians' friends moved forward, making a circle around them. "And you brought a baby? How cute. Is this what humans call take your child to work day?" Laughter spread through the group as Jimin stood her ground, keeping her face calm. The lead Draxian bent down until his snake-like face was inches from hers, his forked tongue flicking out to smell the air around her. "This little one wouldn't last a day in the real parts of space," he hissed. "Look how small, how soft." What happened next was so fast the Draxians barely had time to react. A huge shadow appeared behind Jimin, 8 feet of muscle and barely controlled anger. Chief Officer Kai-tae Moon, the only other Korean on the station and Nexus's most decorated officer, put a heavy hand on Jimin's shoulder. "Is there a problem with my new recruit, Kraz?" His voice was quiet but dangerous. The Draxians froze. Everyone on the station knew Chief Moon's reputation. Though human, he had earned his position through acts that had become famous across 3 sectors. "No problem, Chief," Kraz said, his scales flattening against his neck in a sign of giving up. "Just welcoming the newcomer." "Good, because Officer Park here is under my personal training." Kitae's smile didn't reach his eyes. "And we humans, we stick together." The Draxians left quickly, leaving Jimin staring up at her unexpected helper. "Sir, I could have handled—" "I know," Kai-tae cut her off. "But sometimes it's better to let them think you're weak. Remember, Officer Park, humans may be new to the galaxy, but we've survived on a deadly planet that would kill most of these species within hours. That's our advantage." As he walked away, Han Sol let out a low whistle. "Well, looks like you've got the Chief's attention. That's either very good or very bad." Over the next few weeks, Jimin learned the rhythms of Nexus Station. Every day brought new challenges. The station was home to over 50 different alien species, Most had never seen a human before. Earth joined the alliance. "Why do they all stare at us?" she asked Han Sol during their third patrol. They had just passed a group of jellyfish-like beings who stopped talking when the humans walked by, because we're strange to them, Han Sol explained. Humans come from what they call a death world. Earth has higher gravity than most home planets. We have extreme weather, active volcanoes, earthquakes, and thousands of predators. But other worlds have those things too. Han Sol shook his head. Not all at once. Most life-bearing planets in the Alliance are much calmer. The few other death worlds like Earth produced species with natural armor or massive strength. He pointed to himself. We look soft and weak to them. They can't understand how we survived. That night, Jimin couldn't sleep. She pulled up information about Earth's classification in the galactic database. Earth, SOL3, Class 12. Death world, high gravity environment, extreme climate variations, high biodiversity, including numerous apex predators, tectonic instability, atmospheric, oxygen content, high, risk of combustion, indigenous dominant species, human threat assessment, medium, high notes, only known Class 12 species with no natural defenses, human physical capabilities rated below Alliance average, reason for evolutionary success. Unclear. The last line bothered her the most. Why had humans succeeded where, by all logic, they should have failed? What did the Alliance species see when they looked at her? A week later, she found out. Her patrol, with Han Sol, took them to the station's lower docks where a ship from Earth was delivering supplies. A crowd had gathered to watch the human crew unload cargo. They moved the boxes themselves? Asked a crystalline being, its faceted body reflecting light in rainbow patterns. Without loading drones? Humans are strange, replied its companion, a floating gas-filled sack with tentacles. They seem to enjoy physical labor. Jimin watched with pride as the Earth crew worked efficiently, lifting crates that would require mechanical assistance for many Alliance species. They weren't the strongest or fastest beings on the station, but they worked steadily without breaks for hours. One of the cargo handlers, a stocky woman with dark hair, noticed Jimin's uniform. GSF, huh? First human officer at Nexus? Second, Jimin corrected. Officer Han Sol was first. The woman grinned. Good. About time they learned what we can do. She easily lifted a crate marked with warning symbols. These aliens think we're weak because we don't have claws or armor. Wait until they see us in a real crisis. Before Jimin could ask what she meant, alarms began blaring throughout the dock. Red lights flashed as the station's AI announced, "Warning! Hull breach detected in Section 7. Emergency protocols engaged. All personnel evacuate immediately." Han Sol's communicator beeped. "We're being called to help with evacuation," he said, already running toward the emergency. Section 7 is the residential area. As they ran, Jimin realized this was her first real test. Around them, aliens of all types rushed in panic, some freezing in fear, others fighting to get to escape pods. The human cargo crew, however, immediately organized themselves. Without being asked, they began directing traffic, helping injured aliens, and moving toward the danger rather than away from it. And for the first time since arriving on Nexus Station, Jimin understood what it meant to be human in the stars. The hull breach in Section 7 was worse than anyone expected. A small asteroid had hit the station's outer wall. Air was rushing out into space. 3 living areas were open to the vacuum. Jimin ran behind Han Sol toward the emergency. Through her earpiece, she heard panicked voices. Many aliens were trapped. "All emergency teams report to Section 7. Captain Daeho's voice boomed over the system. "Seal the breach. Rescue survivors." When they arrived, chaos ruled. Some station workers tried to close emergency doors. Others helped injured aliens. Through a window, Jimin saw the damage, a hole 10 feet wide in the station's side. "The auto repair systems failed," Han Sol said, checking a screen. "We need to seal that breach manually." Captain Daeho stood at the command post, giving orders. His forearms moved quickly over control panels. "We have 15 people trapped beyond the breach. We can't reach them until that hole is fixed." The repair drones can't get there fast enough, said a tall insect-like alien. Those people will die. Jimin saw the Earth cargo crew she had met earlier. They had brought repair equipment and were putting on emergency spacesuits. What are they doing? Asked an officer with blue skin. They can't go out there. The radiation levels are too high. The leader of the cargo crew, the stocky woman Jimin had spoken to, looked up. We can handle it. Human bodies are adapted to radiation better than most species. We'll seal the breach. Captain Daeho's 3 eyes widened. That area is exposed to space. The temperature is minus 100 degrees. We know, said the woman. But those people will die if we wait. Our suits can protect us for 15 minutes. Should be enough time. Before anyone could argue more, the Earth crew finished putting on their suits and entered the airlock. Everyone watched on screens as the 5 humans pushed out into space, fighting against the escaping air. They carried metal plates and welding tools. They won't make it, muttered a jellyfish alien. Such fragile beings. But the humans moved with purpose. They positioned a metal plate over the hole while one welded it in place. Their movements were slow in the bulky suits, but they didn't stop. Not when warning lights flashed on their suits. Not when one was hit by small debris and started bleeding inside his helmet. Jimin felt a presence beside her. Chief Kate watched the screens with a calm expression. That's what they don't understand, he said quietly. Humans don't stop. Not when it hurts. Not when it seems impossible. After 12 minutes, the breach was sealed. The Earth crew returned, through the airlock, all alive but injured. Medical teams rushed to help them. Their skin is burned from radiation, said a doctor with tentacles instead of arms. Their core temperatures are dangerously low. I don't understand how they're still conscious. The crew leader sat up despite the doctor's protests. Her face was red with radiation burns, but she smiled at Jimin. Did we get everyone out? Yes, Jimin said. All 15 people are safe, thanks to you. Just doing what humans do best, the woman said before passing out. Later that night, Jimin sat in the station's medical center, watching as the Earth crew recovered. Han Sol brought her a cup of coffee. Now you see, he said, sitting beside her. This is why the Alliance wanted Earth to join despite our primitive technology. Because we're willing to risk our lives? Because we can do things other species can't, Han Sol explained. Most Alliance species evolved on safe worlds. They developed intelligence, technology, but not endurance. Not the ability to keep going when everything hurts. Jimin thought about this as she sipped her coffee. The database lists Earth as a Class 12 death world. It says the reason for human evolutionary success is unclear. Han Sol laughed. That's because they don't want to admit the truth. Humans scare them. Scare them? But we're smaller and weaker than most species here. Physically, yes. But we can do things they find unnatural. Han Sol leaned closer. Did you know that humans are the only species in the Alliance that can run for days without stopping? Or that we can survive injuries that would kill most aliens? Or that we actually seek out danger for fun? Jimin remembered mountain climbers, deep-sea divers, skydivers on Earth. Activities that would seem insane to beings that evolved to avoid danger. We're persistence predators, Han Sol continued. Our ancestors chased animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Most species here can't understand that mindset. Their conversation was interrupted when Chief Kite entered the medical center. He nodded to them both. Officer Park, Officer Han Sol, I need to speak with you. He led them to a small private room and locked the door. What I'm about to tell you is classified. Only a few humans know this. Kite activated a screen showing a star map. 3 months ago, human colonies in this sector began reporting missing people. At first we thought it was normal disappearances, but the pattern became clear. He pointed to 5 planets. All colonies on Class 9 worlds or higher. All disappearances happen during supply runs. You think someone is targeting humans specifically? Jimin asked. Kite nodded. The Draxians you met earlier, Kraz and his crew? They work for a bigger organization. The Black Claw Syndicate, they're the ones taking humans. But why? Han Sol asked. Ransom? No. Kite's face darkened. For study, Experimentation. They want to understand why humans can survive conditions that kill other species, and they're willing to cut us open to find out. Jimin felt cold at the thought. Have any of the missing people been found? Only one. Kite showed them a picture of a man in a hospital bed. His body was covered in surgical scars. Jin-ho was a colony doctor. The syndicate took him 3 months ago. We found him last week, barely alive. Before he died, he told us where he was held, a research station in the Crimson Sector. That's outside Alliance space, Hansol said. We have no jurisdiction there. Exactly why they operate there. Kitai turned off the screen. The Alliance Council won't approve an official mission. They say it could start a war. So the kidnappings continue? Jimin asked, anger rising in her voice. No. Kitai's eyes were hard. Because I'm putting together a team. Unofficial. Off the records. To find that station and free any humans still alive. Hansol straightened. I'm in. Kitai looked at Jimin. This isn't an order, Officer Park. It's voluntary. And extremely dangerous. Jimin thought about the Earth cargo crew, how they had risked their lives without hesitation, how they had proven what humans could do. When do we leave? She asked. Kite almost smiled. 1 week. We need to gather supplies and information first. The Draxians will be back at Nexus tomorrow to refuel. I want you to follow them, Officer Park. See what they're up to. Me? But they've already seen. Sir. Exactly. They think you're just a weak new human officer. They won't see you as a threat. Kite put a hand on her shoulder. Use that. Be invisible. Be underestimated. After Kite left, Hansol looked at Jimin with concern. You don't have to do this. You're still new to the station. I want to help, Jimin said firmly. If humans are being taken, I need to do something. The next day, Jimin began her assignment. She watched as Kraz and 5 other Draxians docked at Nexus. They didn't notice her as she followed them through the market area. The aliens were too busy laughing and talking loudly. They stopped at a small shop selling electronic parts. Jimin pretended to look at items nearby. She could hear their conversation. The boss wants 10 more subjects by the end of the month, Kraz said to the shop owner, a thin alien with gray skin. The previous batch didn't last long enough. Humans are hard to get now, the shop owner replied. The Alliance is noticing the missing ones. We found a solution. Kraz handed over a data chip. There's a medical transport leaving Earth next week. 30 humans already sedated for long-distance travel. The route takes them near the edge of Alliance space. A perfect target, the shop owner nodded. I'll send this to the boss. Jimin's heart raced. She had to tell Kite immediately. She started to back away from the shop when her communicator beeped loudly. All the Draxians turned. Kraz's yellow eyes fixed on her. Well, he hissed. The little human thinks she's a spy. Before Jimin could run, 2 Draxians grabbed her, arms. Kraz moved closer, his scales changing to a dark red color. What should we do with her? Asked one of the Draxians. The boss might want a new test subject, Kraz said, smiling to show sharp teeth. This one looks weak, even for a human. Let's see how long she lasts. Jimin's heart pounded as the Draxians dragged her away from the market. Their clawed hands dug into her arms. She tried to break free, but they were too strong. Stop struggling, little human, Kraz laughed. You'll only hurt yourself. They pulled her toward the lower docks where their ship waited. Jimin knew if they got her on that ship, she might never return. She had to do something. She remembered Kite's words. Be underestimated. Jimin let her body go limp. She made her breathing fast and shallow, like she was panicking. Look, it's giving up already, one Draxian said. Humans are so weak. The boss will be disappointed, another added. This one might not last through the first test. As they reached a quiet corridor near the docks, Jimin made her move. She suddenly dropped her full weight, surprising the Draxians holding her. As she fell, she grabbed the stun baton from one guard's belt. Before they could react, she activated it and jabbed it against Kraz's leg. The leader howled in pain as electricity coursed through his body. He fell to his knees, scales turning pale blue in shock. Jimin rolled away and jumped to her feet. The other Draxians were still surprised by her sudden action. She used that moment to strike two more with the baton. "Get her!" Krez shouted, trying to stand. Jimin ran. She was smaller than the Draxians, but also faster. She darted through narrow maintenance passages where their larger bodies couldn't easily follow. She could hear them behind her, crashing into walls and cursing. She tapped her communicator. "Officer Park to Chief Moon, emergency. Draxians are planning to attack a medical transport from Earth. They tried to capture me." Static answered her. The Draxians must be blocking communications. Jimin needed to reach security headquarters, but the Draxians were between her and the main corridors. She would have to go the long way around. She climbed into a ventilation shaft. The narrow space was uncomfortable, but the Draxians were too big to follow. She crawled quickly through the metal tunnels, using her wrist computer to navigate. After 20 minutes of crawling, Jimin reached a grate near the security area. She peered through the metal slats. The corridor seemed empty. She kicked the grate open and dropped down. "There you are," came a hissing voice. Jimin spun around. A Draxian she hadn't seen before stood blocking her path. He was even larger than Kraz, with black scales and red eyes. "Kraz said you were clever for a human," the Draxian said. "But not clever enough." He lunged forward with surprising speed. Jimin tried to dodge, but the alien's tail whipped around and caught her leg. She fell hard to the floor. The stun baton skittered away. The Draxian stood over her, smiling to reveal rows of sharp teeth. "Now we'll see what makes humans so special. The boss has plans for you." Jimin looked for any weapon, any advantage. The Draxian was 3 times her size with natural armor and claws. By any physical measure, she was outmatched. But humans didn't evolve to win by being the strongest. As the Draxian reached down to grab her, Jimin grabbed a handful of cleaning powder from a nearby maintenance cart and threw it into his eyes. The alien roared in pain, clawing at his face. Jimin scrambled to her feet and ran, not away from danger, but toward it, directly to security headquarters. She burst through the doors, breathless. Draxians. Planning attack. Medical transport. She gasped. Hansol and 3 other officers jumped up from their stations. "Jimin, what happened?" She quickly told them everything she had learned about the planned attack on the medical transport. As she spoke, Chief Kite entered the room. "Where are the Draxians now?" Kite asked. "Probably at their ship," Jimin said. "They know I escaped. They'll try to leave quickly." Kite nodded. "Hansol, take a team to the docks, detain any Draxians trying to leave. Officer Park, come with me." He led her to his private office and closed the door. "You did well," he said. "But the situation is worse than we thought." He showed her a message on his screen. That medical transport isn't just carrying any patients, it's carrying injured Earth soldiers, heroes who were hurt defending an outer colony, 20 of them. Jimin understood the horror immediately. 20 humans already weakened by injuries. Perfect targets. Exactly. Kaite's face was grim. "The transport will pass near the Crimson Sector in 3 days. We need to move now. But you said the mission would start in a week. Plans change." Kite pressed a button on his desk. A hidden panel in the wall slid open, revealing a small armory of weapons. "I have a ship ready, a small team. We leave in 2 hours." "What about Captain Dae Ho, the official chain of command?" Kite selected a weapon and handed it to her. "This isn't an official mission, Officer Park. The Alliance won't risk war with the Crimson Sector, but I won't let more humans be taken." 2 hours later, Jimin found herself on a small, unmarked ship leaving Nexus Station. Kite had assembled a team of 6. Himself, Jimin, Hansol, and 3 humans she didn't know. "This is Suho." Kite introduced a quiet man with sharp eyes. Former Earth military, now a doctor. "These are Min and June, security specialists." The ship accelerated away from the station. Through the window, Jimin watched as Nexus grew smaller. She felt a mix of fear and determination. This mission was Dangerous, possibly illegal under Alliance law. But she couldn't let those injured soldiers be captured. We'll intercept the medical transport before it reaches the danger zone, Kite explained, showing a star map. We'll warn them, then set a trap for the syndicate. What if they bring a larger force? Han Sol asked. Then we fight, Kite said. Simply. Or we die trying. The small ship entered hyperspace, the stars stretching into lines of light. Jimin checked her weapon, a standard Alliance pulse pistol. It felt heavy in her hand. Suho noticed her expression. First combat mission? Jimin nodded. I'm trained, but training and reality are different, he agreed. But remember what you are. A rookie officer? Suho smiled slightly. A human, from Earth. The most dangerous planet in the Alliance. Our bodies evolved to survive there. That means something. During the journey, Kite showed them more information about the Black Claw Syndicate. They were an organization of various alien species who sold rare biological materials to the highest bidder. Recently, they had discovered that human bodies had unique properties. They've been taking humans to study how we survive extreme conditions, Kite explained. Our ability to endure pain, to keep functioning despite injury, to adapt to almost any environment, these things are rare in the galaxy. So we're lab rats to them, Han Sol said bitterly. Worse, Kite brought up an image that made Jimin feel sick. They've been extracting chemicals from human bodies, adrenaline, endorphins, other hormones our bodies produce under stress. They sell these as combat drugs. Suho leaned forward. That's why they want injured soldiers. Their bodies are already producing pain-suppressing chemicals at high levels. Exactly. Kite closed the image. Our mission is to stop the attack, but also to find their main research facility. We need to end this permanently. After 30 hours of travel, they reached the intercept point. The medical transport would pass this area soon. They powered down most systems and waited, floating silently in space. What if the syndicate doesn't come? Jimin asked. They'll come, Kite said with certainty. Humans are too valuable to them now. He was right. 6 hours later, their sensors detected a ship approaching, much larger than their own. It moved into position and powered down, clearly waiting for the medical transport. That's a syndicate hunter ship, Kite said. Heavy weapons, boarding equipment. They're planning to attack the transport as soon as it exits hyperspace. There are at least 30 crew on a ship that size, Han Sol said. We're only 6. Kite smiled grimly. Then we'll have to be smarter. And we'll have to be what they don't expect us to be. What's that? Jimin asked. Apex predators, Kite answered. Ready to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Here's the plan, Kite said, gathering the team around the ship's small command table. We can't outgun them, so we'll use surprise instead. He showed them a hologram of the syndicate ship. It was shaped like a flat disc with sharp points around the edges. Min and Jun will take our shuttle and place explosives on their engine section, he continued. The rest of us will board here. He pointed to a docking port. Our goal is to take control of their bridge and stop the attack. On the medical transport. Their crew is 3 times our size, Han Sol pointed out. How do we handle that? Kite held up a small device. This will help. It's a jamming field that blocks most alien vision spectrums. They'll be nearly blind, but our human eyes will still work. Suho nodded. Most species rely on different vision than humans. Smart. Once we control the bridge, Kite continued, we'll force them to transmit their attack codes to us. We'll use those to find their main research base. And the syndicate crew? Jimin asked. Kite's face hardened. We're not taking prisoners. These are the same aliens who cut open humans to study them. Remember that. An hour later, they were ready. Min and Jun left in the shuttle, flying silently toward the syndicate ship's engines. The rest of the team put on light armor and checked their weapons. Jimin felt her heart racing. This was nothing like her training. This was real combat against enemies who would kill her without hesitation. Scared? Suho asked quietly. Yes, Jimin admitted. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Suho checked his medical pack. But don't let it control you. Humans evolved to use fear, not be ruled by it. Min's voice came through their comms. Charges placed. Ready to detonate on your command? Kite nodded. Begin approach. Everyone ready? Remember, we move fast and stay together. Their small ship glided toward the Syndicate vessel. They matched speed and extended a docking tube to connect with one of the smaller ports. The computer worked to bypass the lock. 30 seconds until medical transport arrives, Hansol reported. After that, they'll be fully focused on their attack. The docking tube light turned green. They were in. Now, Kite ordered. A flash of light erupted from the far side of the Syndicate ship as Min and Jun's explosives detonated. Alarms blared through the enemy vessel. As planned, the explosion hadn't destroyed the ship but had damaged their engines and drawn attention away from the small docking port. Move, Kite ordered. They rushed through the docking tube into the Syndicate ship. The corridors were bathed in red emergency lighting. Crew members ran toward the damaged section, not noticing the small team of humans. Kite activated the jamming device. Immediately, the aliens around them began to stumble and bump into walls. The device was working. It blocked the spectrums they used to see, leaving them fumbling in what was, to them, near darkness. Bridges this way, Kite said, leading them through the confusion. They encountered 3 Draxian guards who could still partially see. Hansol and Kite took them down before they could raise an alarm. They moved quickly through the ship, using the chaos of the engine damage as cover. Finally, they reached the bridge doors. Kite signaled for silence, then nodded to Hansol, who placed a small device on the door lock. It flashed and the doors slid open. The bridge was large, with control stations for at least 10 crew. Currently, only 5 aliens were there. 3 Draxians, a jellyfish-like being, and a large purple-skinned alien Jimin didn't recognize. They all turned in surprise as the humans burst in. "Nobody move," Kite shouted, aiming his weapon at the purple alien, clearly the captain. The Draxians reached for their weapons, but Hansol fired first, stunning 2 of them. The third ducked behind a console. The captain stood very still, all 4 of his eyes blinking rapidly. "Humans," he said in a deep, rumbling voice. "How did you find us?" "We know about your plans for the medical transport," Kite said. "It's over. Tell your crew to stand down." The captain laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Brave but foolish. My ship carries 30 elite warriors. You're only 4 humans. 4 humans from Earth," Kite corrected. "A Class 12 death world. We evolved hunting animals that would tear your species apart." As they spoke, Jimin noticed movement from the corner of her eye. The third Draxian was slowly reaching for an alarm button. Without thinking, Jimin lunged. Across the bridge, she slammed into the Draxian with her full weight, knocking his arm away from the controls. He hissed in surprise and turned his claws toward her. Jimin felt something change inside her. Time seemed to slow down. The Draxian's movements appeared sluggish, predictable. She ducked under his claws and struck 3 rapid blows to vulnerable points in his scales, points she somehow knew would hurt him most. The Draxian collapsed, gasping in pain. Jimin turned back to see everyone on the bridge staring at her. "How did you move that fast?" the captain asked, his voice now holding a note of fear. "Like I said," Kite smiled coldly. "Death world predators." Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. An explosion much larger than their planned one shook the entire vessel. "The medical transport just arrived," Hansol reported, checking the sensors. "And they're not alone. Alliance cruiser escorting them." Kite smiled. "Backup plan. I sent a coded warning through Nexus station channels. Looks like Captain Daeho decided to help after all." The Syndicate captain roared in anger. "You tricked us." "No, we hunted you," Kite corrected. "Humans have been hunting dangerous prey for thousands of years. It's what we do best." With the Alliance cruiser's help, they quickly secured the Syndicate ship. The captain, facing certain imprisonment, finally broke. "The main research facility is on Krell's moon," he revealed. "An abandoned mining colony. There are at least 15 humans being held there, Within hours, the Alliance cruiser had locked onto the coordinates. Captain Deho himself came aboard the captured Syndicate vessel. "This was wildly outside protocol, Chief Moon," he said, all three eyes narrowed. But then he added, "Well done. We couldn't wait for official approval," Kaite explained, "not with human lives at stake." Captain Deho turned to Jimin. "And you, Officer Park. I was wrong about you. You've proven that size isn't everything." Jimin stood straight. "Thank you, sir." The Alliance cruiser, with reinforcements from Nexus Station, launched an immediate raid on the research facility. They found 18 humans there, all alive, but suffering from terrible experiments. Medical teams worked to stabilize them for transport back to Alliance space. Jimin walked through the facility with Suho, helping the rescued humans. Many were too weak to walk. Some had surgical scars covering their bodies, but none had given up. "How did they survive this?" she asked Suho, as they helped a man with multiple IV lines still attached to his arms. "Because that's what humans do," Suho replied. "We endure, we persist. Where other species would give up, we keep fighting." Kite joined them, his face showing rare emotion as he looked at the rescued captives. "The Alliance Council will have to acknowledge this now," he said. "The Black Claw Syndicate's operation is exposed. They can't ignore what happened here." "Will it change how aliens see humans?" Jimin asked. "Some will fear us more," Kaite admitted, "but others will respect us. Either way, they'll know that humans aren't to be underestimated." Later, as they prepared to return to Nexus Station, Jimin stood at a viewport watching stars. Han Sol joined her. "You moved incredibly fast when you took down that Draxian," he said. "Faster than human normal." "I don't know what happened," Jimin admitted. "It was like everything slowed down. I just knew what to do." "Adrenaline response," Suho explained, joining them. "Under extreme stress, human bodies can perform beyond their normal limits. It's one of the things that makes us unique in the galaxy." "And dangerous," Kite added, stepping up behind them. His large frame cast a shadow over the younger officers. "It's why I recruited you, Park. I saw that potential in you. The same thing those Draxians saw when they laughed at you." "What do you mean?" Jimin asked. "They weren't laughing because they thought you were weak," Kite explained. "They were laughing because they were afraid. Deep down, most species know that humans are different. We look soft, but inside us is something that evolved on the most dangerous planet in the Alliance. Something that doesn't know how to quit." 1 month later, Jimin stood at attention as Captain Deho pinned a commendation medal to her uniform. The ceremony was attended by officers from throughout Nexus Station, aliens of all species watching as the small human was honored. "Officer, Park showed exceptional courage and skill," Captain Deho announced. "She has earned the respect of this station and this command." As Jimin looked out at the crowd, she saw Kraz and several other Draxians at the back of the room. They weren't laughing now. Instead, they watched her with new eyes, the way prey watches a predator. Behind her stood Chief Kite Moon, the station's most decorated officer, Earth's apex predator. And now they all knew that Jimin Park was cut from the same cloth. "Remember," Kite whispered as the ceremony ended. "No matter how far we travel from Earth, we carry it with us. In our blood, in our instincts, in our unwillingness to ever give up." Jimin nodded. She understood now what it meant to be human among the stars. It meant being underestimated until you weren't.